CNBC TV18 special. I'm Shireen Bhan, and we're in conversation with the global CEO of Bata, Alexis. Many thanks for joining us here on CNBC TV18. You're not a stranger to India, and neither is Bata, but how confident do you feel about growth in India as you visit your stores here today?
We are very confident. You know, the history of Bata in India is long. We've been here since 1931. We're a very well-established brand and retail banner in the country, and the track record has been very consistent and very strong. I mean, you know, our results last year when net profit was up 15%, and the year-to-date results are actually also very strong. We're actually starting to gain market share in quite a significant way, which is very heartening.
So what is the current market share, and what is the aspiration? Where do you intend to take your market share to?
You know, our purpose, first of all, is to delight our consumer. And our consumer is called Angela, and we have a very clear view about the kind of consumer we're after. By delighting the consumer, we hope to continue growing in a profitable way. And for us, market share is a gauge of our progress and our ability to delight consumers, but it's not an end objective in itself.
But if I could ask you what this confidence translates into numbers, if I look at your FY17 revenue, up 2% at 2,504 crores, or about 370 million, margins at about 11.1%, and profitability has actually come down. You're at 159 crores for FY17. So what is your bullishness and confidence in the Indian market translating into numbers?
Well, in 2016, we closed with net profit up 15%, to be very clear. Our turnover needs to grow a little bit faster. That is definitely the case, and we've put in a lot of measures in place for that to happen. And on a year-to-date, I can divulge the precise numbers to you at this stage, but at year-to-date basis, our retail turnover is up very significantly versus last year.
So what are going to be the levers that you exercise to ensure that your turnover grows faster than you've expected or you've currently seen? I mean, in terms of store growth, what is it that you're anticipating? You have about 1,500 stores in India today. Where do you see that number?
First of all, our number one focus is delighting our consumer. And the best way to delight the consumer is to bring her shoes that are going to excite her. Her and him, by the way. Because before we get confused about all the retail dynamics that are going on around the world, if there is one reason people come into our stores, is to buy shoes. And if they don't love our shoes, they're not going to buy them and they're not going to come back. That is why our strategy number one is called Product is King. And we're spending a huge amount of efforts to have complete, aspirational, quality and balanced collections. And many metrics that we look at in terms of the success of our collections is actually trending in the right directions in India. So product is really extremely important. Second, you have what I call the retail levers. So we're going to open a great amount of stores. In 2017, we'll open more than 100 stores. And more importantly, we're going to start introducing new store concepts. New store concepts which are more modern, more aspirational, and do a better service for our collections. And we also want to service, part of our strategy is servicing our consumer wherever she chooses to shop. Whether it is in a mall, in a high street store, or online. And that is why we are developing our e-commerce capability quite significantly at this stage, in order to meet her needs and his needs wherever they choose to shop. So these are, if you like, the retail-related levers. And last but not least is marketing. You know, we're really raising our game in terms of marketing. 4 weeks ago, we launched the first global Bata Fashion Weekend in Prague. And you're going to see soon in India a lot in the space of fashion happening under the Bata brand. Some approaches to fashion and to collections that you never expected before from Bata, and I hope we will be able to surprise our consumers and even the likes of yourself.
Well, you've spoken of several levers there, so let me try and pick up on each of those and get more details from you. Let me start by talking to you about product, because you said product is king, and that is going to be core to your strategy. So what can we expect in terms of more additions, the premium additions to for the Indian customers specifically?
You know, our product strategy and our brand strategy essentially consists of breaking one oxymoron, which is the deep ingrained belief, particularly in women, that they can be either stylish or comfortable, that they can't get both. Our promise is that we will offer women both style and comfort, and we'll offer that at what I call a wow price, which is when you're going to see the shoe, when you're going to try it, then when you're going to look at the price point, it's going to look very enticing for you. And that is a very different dynamic from a dynamic that says, oh, I only have, I don't know, 200 rupees to spend, so where do I go to spend them?
Yeah.
Want to reverse that equilibrium in order to bring really exciting products for our consumers, which have the good balance between comfort and style. And this year, for the first time, we did a global innovation, which is called Insolia. I don't know if you've tried it, but if you haven't, you should. Because Insolia allows you to walk taller and walk further. And that is a very unique promise that we're bringing to consumers. And by the way, Insolia so far, I'm keeping my fingers crossed because it's very early in the process, is extremely successful everywhere in the globe on the 5 continents where we have launched it so far. So a big thread, if you like, in our product strategy is that magic triangle between style, comfort, and wow pricing. And that manifests itself into innovations and also into different tiers of pricing and design offering to consumers. In men's, for example, we have introduced the European collection at the end of last year. And that is a very premium collection, which is selling at the equivalent of $80, $85 US. And it's actually one of our most successful collections. So the thread of Bata to premiumize, without throwing the baby away with the bathwater, because that's not a mistake we intend to do, is so far successful.
Okay. Well, what about the brand challenge? You know, as you said that while you're working on the product by way of innovation, bringing in a youthfulness into your product offering, the brand perception, at least as far as India is concerned, is this was my grandparents' shoe, or, you know, even not, you know, for my generation, maybe grandparents, and for a generation below that, they probably, you know, don't connect with the brand as much as you would like them to. So what do you do from a brand perspective?
So a lot of the things that you say are correct, but there's one thing you miss saying, is that even when people say that, they still like the brand. People are fond of it. There is no, if you like, indifference or hostile image of the brand at all. There is affection to it, if you like. But the fact remains that for many years we have served consumers, but we didn't surprise them. And I've been in the branding business for many years. And
so now the emphasis is going to be on surprising consumers?
We need to surprise consumers a little bit more. We need to bring them things they didn't expect to come from us. So
what are you going to surprise Indian consumers?
Well, first of all, the product. You're going to go to the store and you're going to say, oh, wow, I didn't expect that. So the product, I keep coming back to the product. I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but it is pretty damn important. And the second thing is marketing and our store concepts. I mean, when you're going to walk into some of our new stores behind the new concepts that are going to come this year, I think you're going to be surprised. And last but not least is marketing. You know, we're doing a lot now. We have repositioned the brand very clearly. We have a very clear definition of the target consumers, which is very evolved. Is not only age and demographics, it is psychographics, it is attitude, it is mentality, it is aspirations and frustrations. We very deeply study the target consumer of the brand, and we really try to be very congruent in our commercial and product offerings in order to meet and often anticipate that need. Because if you only meet consumer needs, you will always be crawling behind the curve. And now, as I said, we want to surprise consumers, so we want to try to get a little bit ahead of the curve.
How important is India for you as far as your global strategy is concerned? What does it contribute in terms of global revenues, for instance?
I cannot tell you the percentage of global
revenue. I was hoping that you would.
But I can assure you of one thing, Shireen, it's not negligible.
Okay, it's not negligible. That could mean anything. That could mean anything. So is it in your top 5 markets?
Definitely.
It is in your top.
It
is in your top 3 markets?
I'll leave it there. Okay. It's in our top 5 markets, but also, you know, India is an important proxy of our ability to win in large emerging markets, which are increasingly open to competition, hence competitive. So if we're not able to win in a market like India, it would be concerning for our ability to grow globally as a company, because emerging markets are a significant part of our growth agenda in the future. I mean, Asia is going to represent 2/3 of our turnover growth in the next 5 years, and India will play an important part in it. So for us, it's not only numerical, but it is also a strategic proxy. And last but not least, it's sentimental. We've been here since 1931.
Yes, yes, absolutely. You had a target of about $1 billion in India. I think that target was set a few years ago, and you were hoping to get them maybe in the next few years. So, does that stand? Has it been pushed lower? So by when? $1 billion by when?
It absolutely stands. We want to get to $1 billion in the next 4 to 5 years. We're very committed to that. We deserve to get that kind of number, and I think the dynamics of the market, based on what we already know of our strategy, because our new strategy has been around for only 1 year, so it would be pretentious to draw too large conclusions behind it, but the early signs are promising and show that $1 billion could be achieved in India.
You're absolutely confident about that?
I'm not absolutely comfortable. I'm reasonably confident.
You're reasonably confident. One of the other
Absolute confidence is dangerous.
True. One of the other big triggers that you probably are waiting to hear from the government on is the GST rate on footwear. A lot of representations being made by the footwear industry saying that it should be at about 12%, and that would be appropriate. How significant if it is higher than 12%, for instance, if it's 18% or maybe 28%, what kind of impact will it have on your business?
I wouldn't want to surprise you, but we do agree that it should be 12% and not 18%. And if it is higher, we're going to find a way to cope. But the bigger point that I'd like to make from our neck of the woods, which is what we chatted about before we started the formal interview, it's important that the government of India continues its good policies, and we respect them a lot, but electroshock initiatives which come at a regular pace in the countries are not helpful for industry and for investment.
You're talking about demonetization?
Yes, and I don't want to debate its merits or its non-merits. It was done, and I'm sure there were good reasons to do it. But we cannot move to a policy where you have electroshocks every quarter, because that really creates nervousness from investors in the country.
What are you nervous about today?
Nothing in particular, but what I'm mostly nervous about is unknown unknowns, right? And which is, we don't want to be in a position where every once in a while, say, oh my God, what's going to come next? An amount of predictability in the way the economy is managed in the country will be very helpful. I think first for India, second for investment in India, and for employment opportunities in India. I'm not making a criticism. I'm not saying that is the case today, but going forward, it's really predictability is extremely important.
How much did demonetization hurt the business?
To be frank, the retail business was not hurt significantly because, we had the foot on the ground, so we could manage it. And I have to say, the local organization showed a huge amount of resourcefulness into making cashless payments available in our stores within a matter of 2 weeks, about making banknote adjusted promotional offers to our consumers. We were very aggressive and very resourceful. We actually gained market share during that period because we were very agile and very creative. The wholesale part of our business, which we of course control less directly, was a little bit hurt because lots of people were sitting before making decisions in terms of ordering. We're working now around getting around that, but I would be dishonest if I said that it didn't hurt us at all. In some parts of business it did hurt us, but not in retail.